It's funny. 3 weeks ago, I said on the air, like, man, Jey Uso and this story is ice cold. But what we've seen over the last week, man, it couldn't be polar opposite. And it's funny. If you told me we're going to see Jey Uso confront Gunther on Raw last night, I thought it would have gone a completely different way. Wasn't expecting what we got last night. But, man, did you feel Jey Uso last night? And, man, I can't wait for their match at WrestleMania 41. And dare I say this? I wish it was the main event of night number 1 of WrestleMania, because I think what we're going to see between those two at 41 is going to be nothing short than a classic confrontation between Gunther and Jey Uso.
You remember how Jey Uso made you feel last night. It's about how people make you feel, and making you feel in pro wrestling is extremely important. Making you feel love, making you feel hate, making you feel happy, making you feel sad, making you feel. Stirring up your emotions. I loved the gear change in Jey Uso right from the beginning. In a violent, swift action, he knocks the microphone out of Gunther's hands and never moves. He only moves his hand and he keeps his eyes straight down behind his glasses, as if to say, mother trucker, you ain't saying a word. I'm doing all the talking tonight. F you and your microphone. Then he takes his glasses off, and we hear a different tone from Jey. Sullen. Probably the normal tone he might use at home or just speaking with friends or family. Almost a bit of concern and fear in his voice. No yelling, no screaming. A tone that forced you to listen to everything that Jey had to say. Talking about how he had to tell his mom where his twin brother was. Everything that Jey did with his verbiage last night worked. And Gunther did something that I have been talking about on this show for a long time that we don't get to see a lot of. And when we do see it, it's done the wrong way. It was the facial reactions. Gunther was selling everything that Jey was saying. But Gunther wasn't overselling with his facials. Gunther's facials told me that Gunther was now concerned about what he had done to Jimmy. Gunther with his face told me, shit, I went too far. I woke up the violent Samoan in Jey Uso. He's now more fired up for what's going to go down at WrestleMania than he was before I did what I did to his brother. Damn, I might have screwed up. Go back and watch Gunther's facials. He is worried. And as the promo builds, you can see the concern build in Gunther's face. That stuff right there, how the heel sells for you, how he sells with his face for Jey, he's selling the words. Remember, I've talked about many times, I was never a fan of when the babyface would talk to Scott and Kevin, God rest Scott's soul, and Scott would do the, ooh, we're not scared. Well, if you're not scared about what the babyface is saying, who gives a shit? I teach students, I teach young wrestlers, Back them down with your words. Say something to them that makes them take a physical step backwards. Hit so hard with your words. Make them feel fear so much with your words that they actually have to take a physical step backwards because they're worried that after those words are done coming out of your mouth, your fist is going to hit their face next. That's what they did last night. Both of them playing their parts perfectly. The fact that Jey is going to pray to God that he forgives him for what he is about to do to Gunther. I'm not praying for you, Gunther. I'm praying for myself. I hope God forgives me because I'm a good, God-fearing man and I have faith. But I don't have faith in myself that at WrestleMania I'm not going to beat the shit out of you and make you bleed worse than you made my brother bleed. And I'm going to make you feel all the heartache that my mom and my family feels right now. Wonderful stuff from those two guys. And I am completely invested in this fight, in this match that's going to take place at 41.
And I understand, like, with the story with Seth, Roman, and Punk, it's about Punk being in the main event. I get that. But this was the first time since the Rumble Bully that I said, this is a main event match at a WrestleMania. And you know, you mentioned the blood. If there was ever going to be blood in a match, this is the match to have blood in because of what we saw Gunther do to Jimmy Uso. Like, I almost feel like I got to see brutality in this match. I got to see another side of Jey Uso where he doesn't care about the championship. He cares about beating the shit out of Gunther. His love for his brother and his family, I think, trumps that World Heavyweight Championship. And maybe that is a factor. Maybe we don't see him win the World Heavyweight Champion. Who knows? Maybe Jey Uso gets disqualified in his match at WrestleMania 41 because he doesn't care about the championship. He cares about inflicting as much violence as possible on Gunther. He held it back last night, which is a great job. No physicality last night because he's waiting for him being in the ring at WrestleMania 41.
And probably the only other thing I would have loved to have heard Jey say last night is nothing would make me happier than getting my hands on you right now and making you bleed and taking your blood and rubbing it all over my chest, just like you did my brother's. But there's one thing that would satisfy me even more, and that's defeating you at WrestleMania in front of 60,000 people in Las Vegas. Because logic would dictate, if anybody did that to my family member, the second I was in striking reach of them, there would be no words. It's pro wrestling, it's entertainment, I get it. It's kind of like the two guys who get into it at the bar, right? Once you start talking shit to me, hey man, you want to go right at crack? I've already dropped you where you're standing. And the amount of time it took you to get those first couple of words out of your mouth, if you're within striking distance, I'm collapsing your jaw. How do I know? I've done it many times. How do I know? I've shelled out more than $250,000 in fucking settlements over my life for cracking guys who spoke too much. That's why I would have just liked to have seen that tied in a little bit. Like, I want to get my hands on you right now. I want to make you bleed right now. But beating you for that championship and bringing it home to my brother and mother means more than getting your blood on my chest.
I would have loved him saying, you know what? But I'm not going to do it because I'm going to make you wait. I'm going to make you think about it.
There's only one thing better than making you bleed, and that's beating you for your championship, Gunther. Listen, what they did was a 9.9. I would have liked to maybe just that one little additional thing to tie it, because I did ask myself, why is he not beating the shit out of him right now?
No, when he was coming down, I was like, I don't want to hear him talk. I want to see fists. But the way they did it was perfect.
And Jey could have just said that. He could have smacked that microphone out of Gunther's hand and said, don't worry, that's about as physical as it gets tonight, because I ain't going to lay a hand on you, because I want you to hear what I have to say. I'd love to hear just a little bit of a tie-in, but that's a little tightening of the screw. Other than that, I really, really liked it. And Gunther's facials meant so much. These are the little things. What was the biggest compliment I always used to pay Alexa Bliss? I don't care about Alexa Bliss's acting. I love Alexa Bliss's reacting. Alexa was phenomenal at reacting to the little things. You know who else was phenomenal at reacting in the most subtle of ways? Renee Paquette. Renee was great at reacting to tiny things at the end of a backstage promo, where her facials would get you thinking about what that person just said. It's so important. It's about the little things. And last night, the little things that I saw Gunther do, I'll even go far as say this. Gunther was so great at his subtle facial reactions, he almost made it look like Heyman overacted with his facials.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that, because Gunther reacted the way a normal person would react if they were in that situation.
Like, I could almost see Gunther's wheels turning and his face, like subtle ticks. I always talk about, being a poker player and being able to read the subtle tick. Subtle ticks were going on where Gunther was saying to himself, oh, shit, what did I do? Maybe I shouldn't have made his brother bleed. Oh, my God, he's really mad. Now he really looks like he's ready for WrestleMania. Oh, man, maybe I went too far. All of those things that were going on in Gunther's head were showing on his face. This is the beauty and the art of storytelling. I cannot pay these two guys any higher of a compliment of what they did last night.
And you know what I loved is the lack of Jey Uso chasing the hug with that crowd. It was almost like he was alone with Gunther. There was a point where he actually got annoyed, Bully, by the yeets, where he used his hand like he got annoyed, like they were yeeting after everything he said, and he went, like, used his hand to like shut the fuck up. Like, I'm talking here. Like, and I got to tell you, it was annoying me. Why? I'm not waiting for Jey to stop talking so I could yell yeet. I'm engaged in what Jey Uso is saying.
Here's the issue. Minneapolis, they probably get 2 or 3 Raws a year. You're going to see Jey Uso right before WrestleMania. You're excited to go scream yeet when you go see Jey Uso.
But also you're programmed to do that when you see
Absolutely.
Jey Uso. When was the last time you heard Jey Uso on the microphone like that? Never. You've never heard Jey Uso like that.
It's like now it's gotten to the point where it's asking people not to what when Austin's in a ring.
Yeah.
And not many, there's a very, very small handful of people out there who can command absolute silence. Punk and Cody were able to do it about 2 months ago. Remember that Punk and Cody promo? When Punk told Cody, you're wearing out, it's starting to wear on you, you're getting tired, the weight of that championship is starting to hold you down and bring you down. Those people were silent for the promo. So the people, WWE haters online were like, those people hated that promo. Did you hear how silent they were? To the contrary, my friends. They were silent because they were so into hanging on every word that Punk and Cody had to say.